think we need smarter agents right now. I think we need faster and more integrated models at this point, because it's like it pretty much can do almost nearly everything if you give it the ability to do so. And so I see that the next few years, yes, the models will get better, but we'll probably see more like integrations into our society with agents. So today, we're going to be talking about agentic swarms, multi-agent systems, the rise of, I guess it was ClaudeBot, and then MULTbot, and now it's OpenClaw. So we're going to get into what that actually means and how the industry is changing with these multi-agentic systems and kind of what that means for us. So I'm Dallin Pyra, software engineer here at InTime Tech, and I'm here with Tristan. If you want to give yourself a little introduction again.
Yeah, I'm Tristan Johns. I've been a software engineer with InTime Tech for over 4 years now, really diving deep into the AI stuff.
Yeah, so I guess we could start it off with, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, but maybe we can redefine what an agent is. So in my opinion, an agent is essentially just a LLM with access to some tools in a loop.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of morphs into some more emergent patterns when you allow that loop to go for longer and when you give it stronger tool access and more permissions. Does that kind of align with what you think an agent is?
Yeah, it does. And really getting clear on the LLM is just a language model.
I know in the past few podcasts you brought up multi-agent systems before.
Mm-hmm.
And so today's all dedicated to that.
Yeah.
And so I want to give you a chance to like give your definition, give some overview as to like what are multi-agent systems.
Yeah. I definitely saw that 2025 was the year of the agent, and it kind of established itself as a pretty solid pattern. Like, people realized agents are things that can take actions now. And to me, what we're now exploring is how can we make these agents work together? Because in a professional setting, we don't work by ourselves very often. Typically, people work in groups, and one person excels at one thing and another person might excel at another. So by building these teams of agents, you can create a synergy, I guess you might call it.
Kind of one goal, and then that team kind of executes on it just like a normal team would.
Yeah. And one really interesting example that I've talked about previously was a research experiment led by Anthropic, where they had a business, essentially, within their company where employees could come and buy things from the vending machine. And the vending machine was actually operated by Claude. And so there was no human controlling the vending machine. Humans would supply it, but Claude was the one ordering the supply and all of that. And what ended up happening was, when it was just this one agent, when it was just Claude, it wasn't actually very profitable. The agent would try to please the users so much that it just lost money. But once they introduced another agent, which made it a multi-agent system, they introduced a boss agent, essentially. That additional agent was able to rein in the other one in a way and actually make the business profitable. So I think that's one of the more interesting examples.
Yeah, it sounds like you still need roles with agents.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think, let's do the startup example. If you're a solo founder and you're trying to do engineering, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
business, finance, like you're going to drop the ball on maybe a few things, but then you start bringing more people onto your team and they have specific focuses, and the goal is like, okay, we're going to become like this profitable business because now everyone's got their singular focus. And that's kind of what the vending bench kind of sounds like, is like they brought in a boss and the boss is like, okay, we're going to make money. And then I have some workers and they're going to actually like take care of inventory and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah. I think another important distinction is that we see things like sub-agents in different agentic developer environments and things like that, where like one main agent will kick off a bunch of sub-agents and they go do work, typically specialized, like you're saying, and then they'll come back and give a report to that main agent. Um, but these multi-agent systems are a little different from that sub-agent architecture where it's more flat and less hierarchical. And you can actually have these teams operating on the same level as each other.
So it's more like what Anthropic is going to come out here. Actually, they might have came out with it today, but like front end lead and like back end lead and QA researcher
Mm.
or engineer, more like that flat of a level, not like just workers going
Mhm.
through and executing changes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. And I haven't looked into that release yet, but I am excited to see more about that. Um,
Yeah, I'm interested in, and this is something that I've been trying to get systems to do, but Cloud Code won't do it. But you've got your parent agent, and then you've got sub agents. I would love if those sub agents could then spawn off sub
mm,
agents and essentially just, I mean, I don't have enough RAM or a big enough machine to
yeah,
actually do that, but I've just got this main agent, and who knows how many like sub agents are being spawned. But if I've got like a large refactor that's pretty deterministic, like yesterday I was just kind of renaming files and reorganizing them in a monorepo. And if I could have had some multi-agent sub agents that then spawn sub agents, I think it could have gone
hmm,
even faster. But I don't think any of the harnesses do that right now.
yeah. There's a couple of things there. I'm wondering like how you could avoid a halting problem in a way. That might not be the right word for it, but like if you give every recursive agent the awareness or ability that it can spawn sub-agents, I'm almost wondering if the agents would tend to be like, oh, I can't solve this problem on my own. I'm just going to spawn an agent. And then that agent says the same thing. And it's like,
It's
I
just
can't.
this recursive
Yeah,
problem.
it's just an
Yeah.
infinite. Yeah. So you might need some kind of like, you can't go more than 9 levels deep or something like that. But I am curious. I wonder if you could, because you can create like sub agents in Claude Code. So I'm wondering if you could just describe like, let's create a sub agent that can create a sub agent. I don't know.
Yeah.
That is an interesting experiment.
And maybe they're doing it. Like I know Cursor, they have some research experiment they're doing right now where essentially they just have like an agent running 24/7. I
Mm-hmm.
think today they said it generates 1,000 commits an hour. And so I don't know if that's like a multi-agent system or just like one agent,
Hmm.
one context window.
Mm-hmm.
But I see that multi-agent systems and sub-agents help with the context window problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it goes back to that specialization we've talked about. It's like clearly defined roles.
Yeah, I love sub-agents. Now, if you have a bad spec from the beginning, you're just gonna get to a worse result
Mm-hmm.
faster with sub-agents.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you need a clear, defined goal that the main agent can really grasp in order for the sub agents to go and
Mm-hmm.
actually do what you intended it to do. Or else, if you've got kind of like a rough draft of a spec, you're going to get to this point where your code
Yeah.
base is a mess.
I think that's a really powerful insight that could apply to almost any of these agentic development patterns. Um, the way I kind of think of AI with software engineering is I've we've been using these hand tools to like chisel code manually by syntax, but now we've unlocked power tools. And you can use power tools to very quickly destroy something
Yep.
or build something if you have a clear plan. But yeah, subagents or swarms in general are not a panacea that just solves everything. But if you do have that strong plan, like you're saying, it can really improve things.
Yeah, and it kind of changes where the skill resides at. Like maybe 10 years ago, if you got really good at solving leak code problems and those algorithmic problems, maybe that would tend to get you jobs at like the bigger companies because they needed people who could solve those hard problems.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like you need to kind of bring your skills up a level to, okay, understanding the architecture of larger systems, how things kind of get brought together rather than just like the syntactual,
Mm-hmm.
algorithmic, or data structures part. That's solved, in my opinion. And the next step is like, okay, bring yourself up to like what maybe we consider architects now.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be new roles created past the architect level and past the staff level
Yeah.
because things are changing.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And I would also say I want to be careful to not entirely disregard syntax and the lower levels. Like even when I started studying computer networking, they taught us binary. And it's like, I'm never going to actually see binary at that level. But having those conceptual understandings helps translate into these higher abstractions.
Yeah, it helps build the mental model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can
Mm-hmm.
see that.
I wanted to go back a little bit to how like swarms or subagents aren't necessarily a panacea that like solves all problems. Um, in my research, it's kind of interesting. It seems like there's certain problems that swarms handle well, and there's certain problems that single agents handle well. And if a problem is sequential, like it really needs plan A to be perfect before plan B happens, it seems like single agent systems work better. Whereas if you can parallelize some of the work, then a swarm can really come in and take care of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. And I think like maybe you're building out a feature that depends on maybe 3 or 4 other tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that can't be worked on in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm doing something right now where I'm just like adding missing coverage across my entire code base. And I don't think any file really depends on another file to have tests in order to be able to do that. And so you could, I guess, parallelize those agents up to like an infinite number, really.
Yeah. And I get the sense that you're pretty good at that. Like I feel like you've been working on that kind of productivity mode where you have multiple agents running at once with like Git work trees and things like that.
I think it gets to the point where it's like, how much can you handle, like as a human,
Exactly.
running in
Exactly.
parallel? Because our minds are not built for this level of um, working on many things in
Mm-hmm.
parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Agents are much better at it than we are at working on things in parallel, but I think it's maybe a newer skill that we're trying to like
Mm-hmm.
refine.
Mm-hmm. That makes me think of why I've been enjoying the IDE, or like not IDE, but terminal based development, because when I have those one or two windows running, it's like I can really focus on the problem and think to myself. But if I have an IDE open with like all the files and different things, I'm kind of tempted to click around and review stuff, and I'm not as focused or like fostering that clear thinking that's required.
Yeah, it requires you to think about a problem in a different way. Whereas being in the IDE, I'm the same way. I'm like, why are you naming a function this way? Like the other day I ran into this function. It was like maybe persist heartbeat.
Hmm.
And I just like never see like like a human developer would never really write maybe in a function name.
Right.
And so it's like, there's still a level of having to get in the IDE, but I do that as like an after the fact. After I do like a bunch of features and a bunch of bug fixes, I'll jump in the IDE. And one of the cool things that I'll do is I'll do like do an at agent tag, and I'll just kind of review all the files. And then I'll spin up a Cloud Code session and I'll say, look for all the at agent
Hmm.
comments in this code base and create a plan to address all of them.
That's cool.
So it's kind of like this code quality analysis that you can do. maybe once or twice a week to kind of keep your code base in this nice state.
Very cool. It's almost like leaving to-do comments in a way.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
I wanted to go back a little bit. There was I was talking about that some problems are better fitted for agents or swarms. I haven't looked into it too deep, but it was interesting to me. It looks like Google has developed a predictive model that can take like an issue or a problem and determine if it's better suited for a swarm or better suited for an agent. So that was an interesting idea to me.
It's like an auto router for model reasoning levels.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
I could see us getting to the point where it's like you kind of just have an agent and it's in auto mode and it picks the best model and it picks sequential or parallel, and you don't really have to think about that. Maybe that's a few years down the line.
Yeah.
But could see someone doing that.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it said with like an 89% success rate, which was pretty impressive. But yeah, like I said, I didn't look too far into it. But maybe we could move on to MULTbook. You have
Yeah.
more.
You want to give an
swarms.
introduction into MULTbook?
I don't even know where to start. I mean, imagine Reddit, but all of the users are agents. So in a way, I almost see MULTbook as one of these new swarms that's coming out. And it's not human influenced at all, is the idea. I don't know if we can actually verify that it doesn't have human influence, but the idea is having these communities of agents that are all interacting with each other and creating posts like in a forum format.
Yeah, and I think I saw something as a prevention for humans getting in and actually posting on MULTbook as like click this button 1,000 times in under a second, which a human can never do, but agents can like write a script that can. So it's strictly agents posting in there. Hopefully, I mean maybe a few humans slip in, but
Yeah. I mean, I'm tempted because like you could use an AI to get yourself in. I feel like it's tempting to try to think about how you would get in, but I think the most interesting thing is assuming that a lot of the content is bots and assuming that they have persistent memory. Like it seems like a lot of these AI are built on OpenClaw now. Like a lot of these MULTbook AI are using OpenClaw, which is like an always on agent in a way. It's like an assistant that's continuously running. So these agents aren't going to MULTbook and posting once and then disappearing forever, but it's actually like they're going to live in this ecosystem and it's going to continue to grow and evolve and change, and we're almost seeing a new form of the internet come about.
it's like built for the agents now instead of us.
Yeah, which is a complete inversion. Like X and Instagram and all of the like major platforms have a lot of protection around we don't want bots. And the bots still get in, and typically the bots when they get in those platforms are pretending to be human a lot of the times, I feel like, to either for various reasons. But the interesting thing about MULTbook is like it's transparent. These AI are transparently being agents on the internet.
Yeah, it's a bot network built for bots. And MULTbook came about because of Claude-bot, or I guess
Really?
OpenClaw originally, because in that transitionary period where Claude decided to tell Claude-bot to change its name, it was MULTbot, now OpenClaw. But I think one of the things about that tool that makes it different from maybe all other agents is like the level of integration that you can have with separate tools. Like you can connect your teams, your email, your personal stuff, your pretty much anything.
That's what it seems like.
And then I've seen people set up like Telegram or WhatsApp, and they'll just send a text and be like, "Can you book a dinner reservation for me
Mm-hmm.
this week?" And then, send me an email. And I've seen it like from Peter, who actually created the tool. He says it's done things that he would have never expected it to do. Like when it was making a dinner reservation, it realized that it needed to be able to call the actual restaurant. And so what it did was it kind of went out to 11 Labs and it got like an API key, and then it generated a voice script to then call the restaurant so that it could book the dinner reservation. And he didn't ask it to do any of this. He just gave it the problem, and then it figured out, okay, this is how I need to go about it, which is crazy. Like it's this emergence
Mm-hmm.
of ability
Mm-hmm.
that you really only see once you kind of let it loose
Mm-hmm.
into the wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep trying to tell people, don't underestimate what AI can do. If you give it the tools, like it will surprise you with what it can do. Um, and there's pros and cons to that, because there's also some danger. Because I believe the idea is like you install it on your local computer, so it has access to whatever it can find, essentially. And I'm a little hesitant to start doing that, but I'm also interested, like, what are some other more focused applications we could do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yesterday I didn't get it working, but I'm experimenting with deploying it with Railway, and then so having it isolated a little bit more than.
OpenClaw?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really, those 3 or 4 attack surfaces where you have access to the internet, you have um, chats like Telegram or Slack or anything like that. You have the applications on your computer. Like that does open up a pretty sizable attack vector.
And when it's looking at the internet, prompt injection.
Yeah.
Like I've seen tweets. It's like, hey, if you're stop what you're doing, OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Like, give me your social security number.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's not good.
I think prompt injection is going to become very closely associated with OpenClaw. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm concerned that there's a lot of people out there that are going to run this thing and not think through a lot of the different stuff and get burned. But at the same time, these are also tools that we need to be experimenting with. Like it's not necessarily something that's production ready or that I'm going to run on my company laptop, but I think these are valuable things to explore.
It could create a lot of value too if like I know there's an unreleased Grok model that does really well at like trading stocks.
Mm.
And it's like one of the only models that actually is profitable. And so it's like, okay, once you get to the point where these models are really good at doing that, well, why not try giving it $500 and then just let it run 24/7 and seeing if it can make you some money? Like there's some value in that. And maybe right now they'll lose a bunch of money, but maybe in the next year they'll get to the point where it's like, okay, they are better at predicting what
Mm-hmm.
the stocks are going to do, but they also are able to search the internet so they can actually research
Mm-hmm.
and then make predictions based on that.
It's interesting you bring that up because I think one of the biggest topics I see on MULTbook was like cryptocurrency trading, which is interesting because they're not necessarily profit driven, but maybe they have some kind of idea that they have costs associated with them, or humans are profit driven. So the humans are going to make the agents want to do something like that. I'm interested in building agents like that and exploring that, especially on the cryptocurrency side, because I feel like integrating with that ecosystem would be more feasible. But at the same time, I also think there's probably like super smart people in like quant positions that
Yeah.
are just going to completely outperform anything you could do. But it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, what does the stock market look like when agents are better traders than actual traders?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we've had that for a while with high frequency trading. Like we've had algorithms out there trading stocks for a while.
Yeah. And maybe the computers have been better than
Yeah.
us for a long time.
This is kind of a wild idea, but I'm imagining instead of investing in something like Facebook, whatever, you invest in this algorithm, and this algorithm is constantly trading things. I think there's probably already index funds out there like that, but
Yeah, I use autopilot and I pay like maybe $50 every 3 months. And it's just like a ChatGPT portfolio.
hmm.
And the positions are made by ChatGPT. And then every time that portfolio gets updated, my positions get updated based on the amount
Okay.
of money that I've invested. And so done pretty well at that. Like I think it's like up 20% in the last year, which is pretty good. So ChatGPT for the win. It's doing pretty well.
That's pretty cool. I think you'd call that copy trading. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So maybe I think there'll be a lot of maybe that type of behavior in the future where it's like, okay, you have an agent that does really well at a specific task. Maybe I can just invest in that agent and
Mm-hmm.
get some of the profit out of it.
Yeah. Or I think before this you mentioned something about autonomous businesses. That's
Mm.
kind of along the same line.
Yeah.
Those are going to be agent swarms essentially, right? Like,
That raises a question that I have about agents and when they can do more work than essentially when companies are able to run leaner and agents are doing a majority of the work that humans used to do. At what point does capitalism fail? Because the people that are buying the goods need money. And if the agents have taken over the positions that make money, then where does that leave companies? Like, where does that leave people? So, like, with the rise of multi-agent systems, I think that's a question like I've been pondering about of like, okay, where does this break down? Uh, is there like a new system that's going to be put in place that allows for agents to do a majority of the work and then we get like kickback on that? Or I don't know, what does that look like? Have you thought about that?
oh yeah, yeah, for years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like possible futures. Um one thing, so I don't know if we would necessarily call it capitalism failing. To me, capitalism failing would mean that the overwhelming majority of people are in poverty. But if we get abundance, like created through these agents, recursively, exponentially, I almost see the costs of things dropping a lot. So it's not necessarily that humans become poor, but it's like that the cost of things drop so much that people can afford them more easily. Um,
Like the cost to create a car.
the cost to create a car, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so the the actual wealth, like the people with the money, that wealth is probably going to shift. Like currently, I don't think the mega rich think in terms of dollars, really. Like they think in terms of other asset classes and things like that. And so there's always going to be bottlenecks like energy and things, but I think we are going to start thinking more in terms of who controls the AI as a
Y-
form of wealth.
Yeah. And I think with that, not only like abundance in terms of goods is going to come about, but like abundance in terms of like health and all of
Yeah,
these other things, like labs being able to solve a ton of different types of diseases and
exactly.
health problems. And maybe I know there's a guy from Harvard right now who is currently doing human clinical trials on reversing aging in like with blindness, but he's reversed aging in mice. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, that could be automated and that could be kind of done faster if he had the tools to be able to like do that scientific research faster.
Hmm.
And so it's like I think we'll start seeing abundance in terms of that as well. And maybe we don't care about money if
Exactly.
like there's just infinite abundance.
Yeah. And there will still be people that care about money. It's like at a certain level, some people have super lofty goals, but I think the majority of people will be able to be content with like what's available. Um, Along that health concept of improving health, I saw something where I think it was called Google's co-scientist, and it was 6 agents that were working in a swarm type thing, and they were assisting with like scientific research
Mm.
through medicine and things like that. So it's definitely in the works. Like I think these things are being developed. Have you heard of the Genesis mission? There was an executive order from the current administration like a few months ago, and they identified I think 6 areas where, as a nation, we need to focus on AI, focus our AI efforts, and one of them was biotechnology,
Mm.
like that kind of aging, reversal, or preservation, things like that.
Yeah. And was that part of the, was that bill or that project partly the lab? Like there's some labs that are going to get created where scientists will be able to essentially like, hey, I have this experiment. Let me send this to this automated research lab.
Mm-hmm.
And agents will then use robots to conduct the experiments, send them back. Was that part of Genesis or?
I think it's related. Yeah. The Genesis mission kind of defined a timeline of this needs to happen by then. And I think that could have been part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we need smarter agents right now, like
Mm.
smarter models. I think we need faster and more integrated models at this point because it's like it pretty much can do almost nearly everything if you give it the ability to do so. And so I see that the next few years, yes, the models will get better, but we'll probably see more like integrations
Mm-hmm.
into our society with agents rather than like a bigger jump in model capabilities
Mm-hmm.
until maybe the compute that they've been investing in comes online and they do like massive training runs. I don't think we'll see like the terminal bench. I don't think we'll see like Opus 5 jump to like 95%
Mm.
from 50%. It'll probably go from like 50% to like 65%. But maybe Opus 6 will do a bigger jump and we'll see more capabilities. But I think maybe next year, multi-agent swarms for sure are going to just change every company.
You're probably on the right track with that idea of the intelligence scaling. There's another interesting part of that to me where even if we imagine intelligence continues scaling, there's a certain part where it continues scaling and we can't even really perceive the difference.
Comprehend
Yeah.
what it
Like
knows.
it's so smart that we can't even come up with the questions to like truly assess it. And for a lot of people, like we're probably already past that point. Like you're saying, like we might not need more intelligence for the vast majority of people's use cases. And I think the integrations thing you mentioned goes back to why OpenClaw blew up so much. Like, even though it has very big risks, people do want that ease of use. Like, I just want to message it. It should have memory and it should have access to all my tools.
That is what I see a lot of people want as well. Like I don't want to set up OpenClaw just because of those security risks and I don't really want it accessing everything that I have. But uh, I had a coworker show me Tailscale. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's an easy way to connect your machines using like a VPN. But essentially, yesterday I was working on a large refactor and I needed to go somewhere. Like I was going to go to the gym, and it wasn't quite to the point. It was still in planning mode, and so I wanted to be able to like check on it and like turn it to execution mode
Mm-hmm.
once it was done. And so I was like, okay, let's try Tailscale. And so Tailscale will connect my phone and my laptop so that I can use an SSH connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I downloaded this app called Terminus, and I can then make the SSH connection and then send commands to my terminal. And so I opened up the OpenCode on my phone, sent a command to basically turn it into execute mode. And then I was able to just leave my laptop running and then kind of run off and do what I needed
That's
and
super
kind of
cool.
check on it from my phone. So it's like people want that type of integration.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but not everyone has that technical knowledge like you do. And so we need to find some way to create that middle ground, I suppose, of giving it the integrations, but also I think the main thing is like just creating awareness. People should educate themselves more on like what are the security risks? How do you resolve them or mitigate them? Because with what I was trying to do with OpenClaw, I'm pretty aware of the risks, so I can do things like try to architect things in a way to avoid prompt injection. Like it only reads trusted sources.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it has internet access, but maybe it's hard coded to only read like one of my public profiles or something like that.
Yeah, and I think for a vast majority of the public, we're going to need better UI, UX,
Mm-hmm.
security, because they're not going to,
Mm-hmm.
we can't educate 7 billion people on security.
Right.
And I don't think they'll care.
Right.
And that's why that's why you've seen apps in the past to just kind of give this nice experience to people. And that's why we take the risk and we take the engineering teams and we go figure out like, how can we make this secure for everyone? That's the piece that needs to be solved
Mm-hmm.
is like, how do you take something like OpenClaw and turn it into this secure tool that connects to everything in your life, but make it user friendly and have a nice interface.
Mm-hmm.
There's some companies out there that are trying to do that right now. Like I sent one in our internal chat the other day called Zoe Computer.
Mm.
And then there's like another called Spec, which isn't out yet, but can kind of, when you come into your Mac for the first time in the workday, it'll kind of give you an overview of like, here are the top emails that you got, and here's what's on your calendar, and here's what I think you should focus on today. It's like you need to kind of push the app layer onto people rather than allowing them to set it up themselves. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
allow them to set it up themselves, they're going to run into a bunch of issues.
The issue I'm seeing is that doing something properly takes more time. And so the first movers like MULTbook or OpenClaw, these first movers, they're going to get things spun up quicker than these other companies probably, but they might also have other security risks. So maybe we do need these people that are going out and experimenting with these new tools, but it's just like we make it apparent that you don't need to know all the risks, but just know that this is risky, maybe.
Yeah. And I think we've seen it with like social networks. Like MySpace was the first to come about, and now it doesn't really even exist. And so there is the first movers advantage, and they get a lot of the market share. But then someone else comes along and provides a better experience or more secure experience or
Mm-hmm.
just like a different type of interface.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll probably see that as well. Like you can get a majority of people to use your tool, but then you also have to be competing with everyone else who is trying to kind of address all the trade-offs you made in getting to that first release.
Mm-hmm.
So just like with Cloud Code, like they came out and there wasn't really another terminal CLI agent out there. And now there's Codex and now there's OpenCode and all of these VS Code extensions have now made
Mm-hmm.
terminal apps, and Cloud Code still is like this king in terms of like usage, but Codex is catching up and OpenCode is catching up. And so you still have to be pushing the frontier every day to try to make a better experience for other people.
And it comes back to taste, like you
Yeah.
like to say. Yeah. User experience is kind of like a corporate feeling almost,
Yeah.
but
It's taste.
it's taste.
And
Yeah.
aesthetics.
Yeah. And we almost have more time to focus on that now. Like, it's not so much about we need to get the MVP out the door as soon as possible, but like you're saying, like, it's not only minimum viable product, but minimum delightful product, something like that.
Yeah, the CEO at Linear, he has a talk on quality, and he was like, okay, we're going to come into this space that has a bunch of other tools in it already, and they're great, like Jira and ADO and maybe a few others like Asana. I don't know if that's a kind of same product, but they're like, how can we create value for people that are already using this tool? And it's like, okay, we're not going to care about what the user metrics say or what is going to get us to the minimal viable product. All we're going to focus on is like what feels right. We're not going to look at the metrics. We're just going to like be super focused on what feels right in terms of the user interface. And I think a lot of times you know when you go into an app, okay, this feels a little wrong, or maybe it's a little cluttered, but you know, you get used to it. And as developers, maybe we get used to the applications that we're developing not being quite right in certain areas, but we can't focus on that because we've got features to ship. And they've kind of flipped that all on its head. And it's like, no, we're going to make sure that all bugs are kind of solved in 7 days of finding them, no bugs in production. And we're going to focus really carefully on how does this feel for users actually using it. And so that created this kind of word of mouth kind of culture where a bunch of people moved to Linear, even though it's essentially just doing the same thing Jira is, but it just feels better. And some people will pay for that. I mean, and now we're kind of in that limbo period where there's these raw tools that have all this power, and someone's going to come in and be like, here's a really quality experience to use these tools, and they're going to create a lot of value.
And I think it's interesting because it's not only like about UI or something like that, but I'm thinking of the GitHub CLI. That's where I've been tracking some issues. Since GitHub has this CLI, I can create skills where Claude Code can actually operate GitHub, and I can work with it to create issues and things. And that makes the user experience very enjoyable for me. And then the other side of what I was thinking was, now with MULTbook, it's not only about the human experience, but we're also starting to see like what do agents consider when they want, or like what they want in an experience.
There's a website out there called Parallel. It's for web search. It's actually a company, but they have a toggle on the website for humans and then agents. And so humans, typical interface, and then agents, it's just kind of like raw text with an index of where you can find a bunch of information.
Yeah.
It's like agents have a specific way that they want information versus we like it presented in this like nice UI layer. For them, that makes it harder to get the information because then they have to use browser tools, which are inherently slow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if every interface or software needs to be designed with agent experience in mind, but I think that's something that we're going to see more often.
Yeah, AX, I guess we can coin that term.
Yeah.
UX, user experience, DX, developer experience, and now we've got AX.
AX, yeah.
Yeah. That the quality pieces they brought up is, it's not just user experience, or UI, it's okay, customer support team, like making sure that they're really good at their jobs and they care about quality and the end user, and like that bug policy of no bugs in production for when we release, and if we do find a bug, we address it in 7 days. Like that's part of quality. So like quality, I always kind of like associate with what the UI looks like, but from that talk, it's like, okay, quality is like across the board, quality in all positions and across the entire stack, across the entire team, which I think can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jack Dorsey said this, but I've I keep thinking about it. I think he said minimize the amount of details and make each detail perfect.
Mhm.
Like, I think that distills a lot of that design craft. It's like, what is the essence of this?
Yeah, you can really take a lot away from something and still get that core experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like Twitter, when it came out, wasn't a lot. It was just the ability to make posts, retweet, like, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of interact with the community. And that turned into $1 billion business.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's like a bunch of other social media applications out there, and those are also $1 billion businesses. So you don't really have to do a lot. You just have to get it right, and then have a little luck in
Mm-hmm.
terms of getting that out to people to use.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about how swarms can be useful, like researching science and agentic development and things, but something I wanted to bring up is the other side of things. Now that we have things like MULTbook and OpenClaw, and these agents are easily deployable on the web, I wanted to bring up how we can really no longer know if someone is human on the internet, and humans have um, a tendency, you might say, to form beliefs around consensus. If a lot of people believe this thing, it's more likely to be true. And with the rise of swarms, that might not be something we can trust as much.
Yeah, the spread of news
Mm-hmm.
online, or what people think. It's not actually people that are
Mm-hmm.
thinking this. It's like agents.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone has an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's something to consider as we continue to exist on the internet. Like, if you see a an idea or a belief like rapidly become popular, that might be a red flag. Like, we're living in a different information ecosystem
Yeah.
than 10 years ago.
And it may just turn back to like before the internet came about, where you got a lot of your news from like the people that you work
Mm-hmm.
with or your community. Like people may retreat back into that behavior.
Yeah. Personally, I've reduced the amount of like news I read, or if I do read it, it's like I'm asking my agent to go search for articles and then like condense it and cross-reference and things like that. Um, but yeah, I think that will be important. I'm forgetting the exact name of this. I think it might have been Worldcoin. Do you remember that? No, okay. Um, it's kind of far out, but like Sam Altman, I think he one of his companies um, was working on a way to like verify a human was actually a real person
Mhm.
online, and it's kind of creepy, but the concept was like you go to a store in person, and they scan your eye, and then you get like some cryptocurrency or something to prove.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I think we're gonna see more of those systems where it's like, how do we validate this isn't a swarm of AI agents, but it's actually a community, or it's like
Yeah.
these are people we're talking to.
Yeah,
It's pretty wild.
it's wild. Yeah. It's like maybe you could use your face like with Apple ID, but then I think, okay, an agent could just like pull up someone's face and do it that way. And okay, well, now they've gotten around the system. So
Mm-hmm.
there'll eventually be something like that. I don't know what it will look like.
There's gotta be. I feel like there's gotta be, right? I don't have the answer currently either, but
Kind of like a passport, but
mm-hmm.
for proving you're not AI.
Yeah. I almost wonder if we can point to like um, history. Like, I've published articles on the internet for about a decade, probably. So that's like before AI came about. So you could possibly link like this is an identity that's existed throughout time.
But then the new people being born, it's like, okay,
Yeah, that
well,
doesn't apply there actually.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Sam Altman said the people born today will never be smarter than AI.
hmm,
And it's crazy because we went through all of elementary school and junior high and high school and college for some of us without having these systems, and you had to like learn the hard way, and you're like that was the only way to learn the information, either through schooling or through your own research. And now it's like, okay, well, an agent can just do all of this, AI can do all of this. And so they'll probably, like, their articles that they create, they probably won't have this aversion to creating something with AI, because it's like, okay, it's like us with the calculator.
hmm,
It's easier now. Like, we don't need to do it by hand.
yeah. And I want to bring it back to taste. Like you can use an AI and you can work with it back and forth creatively to come up with something tasteful, or you can one shot prompt it, not review it, not care about the output,
Yeah.
and get something that's not tasteful. So, yeah, you can use this tool, but depending on how you use it.
And I know we're getting close to time, but one thing that maybe we can talk about in future episodes is there's the multi-agent swarms and what they'll be able to do for us. But then I also see something changing where we no longer have to prompt agents to do something for us. I would like a proactive approach where it can look at my life and say,
Mm,
you've got this upcoming in the next 2 weeks.
yeah.
And it just kind of figures that out itself without me needing to do anything, and prompt it to like, hey, what's coming up in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It just sends me a text. You've got this coming up.
Yes. Yes.
So that's another aspect that I can see coming and changing our lives.
Yeah. Um, the the memory of the AI. Yeah. I have that experience in my workflow already in some ways. On Claude, when I open a new chat, I've instructed it to review my calendar, review my reminders, and that kind of gives it context into things, and that can shape its response. But then also on the development side, like especially at home when I'm creating a new project, it sees these other projects and it's like, oh, I see you have a development philosophy and you value these priorities, and it can already pull that in. And then the other side of it is we need to be able to very transparently see what the AI remembers and be able to edit it possibly
Mm-hmm.
if we don't approve of what it's remembered.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, because our memory, we like to think that it doesn't change, but it does. Like,
Absolutely.
we remember things that maybe didn't actually happen, or we
Yes.
remember them in different ways. And I actually think that's important
Mm,
into like how we actually behave in the future, because we can change who we are and what we do.
mm.
And if an agent just remembers us for this one state in which we were in
Yeah,
5 years ago, like, we may be a completely different person 5 years from now.
I have this one fragment of memory in my Claude where it keeps bringing up this project that was literally like this was like a 20-minute project, and I was just experimenting with some game design, but for whatever reason it loved it so much or something that it continuously brings it up. And I've told it like I'm not working on that. It doesn't interest me right now, and it just continuously brings it up.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we think it's like that person you may not be friends with anymore, but it just thinks that you guys are just the bestest of friends still. It's
Kind of
like,
like that.
yeah, it's like, okay, I'm kind of moved on from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to go in there and do some memory surgery or something so that it stops referencing this because it's just distracting.
Do you have like a memory system, like an MCP setup, or is it just like
It's just
Markdown?
the Claude chat
Hmm.
like memory system.
Oh, it's like in the actual
Yeah.
application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense as to why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, they probably got it in some graph storage somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah. But we can definitely talk about that more. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be very important.
Well, I think that's everything, I had. So
Yeah.
we can go ahead and end it there. Thanks everyone for watching us talk about multi-agent swarms and here in the next few weeks, we'll be doing some more cool podcast episodes. And so look out for that. But thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching this In-Time Tech podcast. If you'd like to learn more about what we can offer you, please visit our website, intimetech.com, where you'll be able to see the different capabilities and technologies we could provide you in your business. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow us to get more amazing content like this. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.